I've listened to Superbloom by MisterWives for half a year.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music.
It's actually welcome 161 Spin It. We passed episode 2 a long time ago.
We passed 2 a long time ago. Not welcome to Spin It, welcome 161 Spin It. Either way, we appreciate you returning to Spin It or coming for the first time. Hi.
For the 161st time.
Or the 161st. Whether you've been here 1 time, 2 times, or 161 times, thanks.
Or 162 since we have an episode 0.
Or if you've listened to the other episodes that will come out after this one and then are listening to this one after that.
Or if you've listened to one of our episodes more than one time.
Just welcome back.
Welcome back.
That's all. That covers all intervals and time spans.
That'll get everybody. That'll satisfy everybody.
Welcome or welcome back to Spin It. I'm James. With me, the one who's really trying to throw a wrench in my simple little intro here, is Connor.
That's me, the wrench thrower.
That's right, and Jay-Z's biggest fan.
Yeah, that's right. I'm Rap's biggest fan, all right?
If you're Rap's biggest fan, we really need to figure out a way to save the genre.
If I'm Rap's biggest fan, it's too late to save the genre.
You're probably right. But yes, the year of discovery is continuing with another album that I have discovered.
What are we going to discover this week?
This week, we're talking about Superbloom, an album by the band MisterWives. And it's another album that I discovered in kind of a strange or unusual way. Turns out, what I realized after I explored this album, I went back through some of my older playlists and found out that I actually had heard some of these songs prior to knowing about MisterWives, and I just had flagged them and put them on a playlist of random songs that I like. So I guess I already knew about MisterWives or like some of their music, but I was on like a short little road trip with a friend of a friend who I had never met before. But we were talking and chatting, and they mentioned that they liked MisterWives and that I should listen to this. And I was like, okay, you know what? You seem cool. I'll take that recommendation and try it. And I did. And I listened to Superbloom because that seemed to be the consensus, like, decent place to start. And it surprised me. And come to find out, I already had liked some of the songs on it. I was like, what a fun discovery. I have to include it in the year of discovery. Plus, it's been a minute since I brought us a straight up like pop record, and I don't even know if you could call this just straight up pop. There's some different interpolations in there, but I mean, you did Miley Cyrus and you did The Strike. I guess Adele maybe was the last time I brought a pop album. Anyway, I just wanted to bring more pop music, and this was a good one to do. I was feeling it, and I hope you are too. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about. Have you heard of MisterWives at all? Like I accidentally did before I even knew it?
No.
Okay, bummer. Glad I could enlighten you though. This is a longer album. A lot of tracks on this one.
Sure is.
So, might have to try and keep the intro part short and sweet just for the sake of a little bit of analytical stuff. But year of discovery, fun stuff. MisterWives are a band out of New York City.
Nice.
Classic place to be a band out of. Yeah, real nice.
Just a classic place to be.
I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. MisterWives is kind of the pet project of their founder and frontwoman, Mandy Lee.
Nice.
In 2012, she was having a birthday, as she does every single year.
2011, Mandy Lee had just died.
No, that's not necessarily true, because it's her birthday.
That's true. When was her birthday? Yeah, when's her birthday?
I'm pretty sure it's not New Year's. So, nice try, but that did not land.
Sad.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be quiet now.
No, wait, don't. Come back.
Nope, too late.
He's gone. Okay. Oh, well. So, yeah, she's having one of her annual birthdays, and she wanted a good 80s cover band for the event, the party she was throwing, but she couldn't find one, or they were all booked. I don't know if she didn't find one, or all the ones that she liked were busy, or what the deal was. But she's like, you know what? This is unacceptable. Maybe I'll just make my own band and do it that way. And so that's what she set out to do. She recruited her friends, drummer Etienne and bassist Will Hayer, to help her out. They met through mutual friends, and they actually ended up discovering that they worked in restaurants that were like a block apart in Manhattan. Big city, small world. Their first few months of experimenting after that little 80s band setup were evidently pretty successful. They expanded the lineup to include guitarist Marc Campbell and trumpeter Jesse Bloom, who has actually since left the band and been replaced by Mike Murphy on the saxophone. But that's MisterWives. Mandy Lee and Etienne were actually beginning a long-term relationship around that time too. More on that later, much more on that later, because that is kind of the inspiration for a lot of Superbloom. But we'll get there. At this point, Connor, if he were here still, he would say, heck yeah, just to fill you in.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
I've been here the whole time. Ha ha ha.
I knew it. What do you think about the name MisterWives? It's kind of fun.
It's an interesting one.
Do you know sister wives?
I sure do.
Okay. You know, the term for polygamous wives who have the same husband.
Right.
They kind of gender bent it a little to Mister Wives. If it was a girl group, honestly,
That's a
Mrs. Wives would also be a pretty good name.
it's a bunch of husbands who have the same sister.
Husbands who have the same sister? I don't know. I think that's wrong. That would be husbands who have the same... No, what would that be? Because sister wives...
Or women who have the same husband.
Yeah, but Mister Wives can't be...
Are right.
But they're
men
husbands.
who have the same sister.
Men who have the same... They're brothers, basically, is what a Mister Wife...
Yeah.
Brothers who are married to somebody that doesn't necessarily have to be the wife.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's confusing, but it's fun. It's a nice little pun, right? So why not, right? They played their first official show under the name MisterWives on February 1st, 2013.
Good date.
So January 31st, 2013, MisterWives had just died. They played it at New York City's Canal Room.
It was a memorial.
Yeah, a tribute show to the band that once was not called MisterWives, and then they were. It's okay, you can mourn for what might have been. But the day after that show, they were approached by Photo Finish Records, an independent alt-pop label, and they signed a record deal that set them to work on their first EP, and it partnered them with a couple well-known acts that they would open for on various tours. Their early days included opening stints with Half Moon Run, The Royal Concept, and American Authors. You know American Authors, right? They're the group that sang The Best Day of My Life. Do you know that one?
The best day of my life. No.
It was like the most annoying song of 2014.
Is it the best day of my life?
No.
What song's that?
They do the millennial whoop, is how I've heard it referred to. Who, this is gonna be the best day of my life. My life.
Yeah, that's Fall Out Boy, right?
What?
No, it's not Fall Out Boy. 21 Pilots. Who does that?
Which one?
Your thing.
Oh, the American Authors. That's the whole band that we're talking about. That's why
That's you. What's my thing? Thought you were telling me who did my thing.
No. Were you singing How to Save a Life by The Fray?
I don't know. Was I?
That's what that sounded like to me. That's different. That was also big. That's not it.
No. Maybe it was what I was doing.
It's pretty much what you sang.
No, I did it differently. At least I intended to do it differently. Yeah, it was. I was doing the right song.
Oh.
I was doing it at the 2-minute 30-second part. I think that's what I was intending to do.
Well, either way, you knew the song. You did know The Best Day of My Life.
Yeah, I did. I also know what you thought I knew.
Right. So to walk it back, yes, that's The Best Day of My Life. The hit song by the band American Authors, the band that MisterWives opened on tour for back in, the mid-2010s.
That's how he got here.
It is. MisterWives even had the chance to record a Hall & Oates cover, or as they might call themselves, a Daryl Hall and John Oates cover, of the song Out of Touch with John Oates. He showed up and surprised them in the recording studio, which is really cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, way to go, John Oates. You might abandon the luncheonette, but you won't abandon MisterWives. The band's 6-song debut EP called Reflections came out in early 2014, and it sold more than 20,000 copies. Alter the Press said that the band certainly has both the capacity and the talent to take over the indie pop world. And their debut album a year later, called Our Own House, continued that trend. It earned 4 stars from Billboard and made it to number 31 on the Billboard 200. Like, that's all albums, all genres, everything, made it to number 31. It also cracked into the digital albums chart at number 15, the top rock albums chart at number 12, and the top alternative albums chart at number 7. Not too shabby for a debut. Their sophomore album, Connect the Dots, came out in May of 2017. Kind of more of the same. It sent them out on tour, opening for Panic at the Disco's Death of a Bachelor tour.
I know that song too.
Death of a Bachelor?
Yeah.
I figured that's a good one. We haven't done a Panic at the Disco episode yet.
Nobody panic.
Why would I panic? I'm not at the disco. See, those are the kind of jokes you can expect when we do a Panic at the Disco episode.
Well, that's because you're only allowed to panic at the disco, so you can't panic till you get there.
Oh, please, everybody hold your panic. MisterWives also opened for 30 Seconds to Mars on their Monolith tour supporting their album America, which we talked about on episode 33. And I'll be honest, again, we did the whole episode on it. I like 30 Seconds to Mars. I feel like if I saw 30 Seconds to Mars on the America tour, I might have been more impressed with MisterWives as their opening act. Just saying.
Dang.
I know. Walk the Moon was also there, by the way. No Walk the Moon episode yet, but I think we've talked about them a few times and mentioned how, like, Bad Sons sounds like them.
Hey, no walking. Everybody hold your walking until we make it to the moon.
On the moon, all walking is moonwalking. Think about that, Michael Jackson.
We're back in our moon era.
Who, by the way, if you were listening to the last episode about Jay-Z, was not in there. Sorry, we might have led you to believe that he might have been. I can now confirm.
I think he's in there. No, I think he's still in there.
Michael Jackson's not in the Jay-Z episode. He might be on the album. He's not in the episode.
Oh, no, yeah, not in the episode.
No, 15 years too late for that, but it's fine. MisterWives also made major festival appearances at Lollapalooza, Austin City Limits, and a few others, and they did open for 21 Pilots, who we talked about on episode 88. Thumbs up for that. And that brings us up to the band's Superbloom era. Sometime around 2018 or 19, MisterWives signed to Fueled by Ramen, and that would be their home for the next 3 years. Fueled by Ramen's coming up a lot. That was the home of Lights and Fall Out Boy for a while. We've done a few episodes on Fueled by Ramen artists. Anyway, their first single in the Superbloom era was Why, and it was a pretty exciting first look. Everyone was really hyped up for Superbloom. The band even went so far as to release an entire sneak peek EP called Mini Bloom with 5 of the album tracks on it. Ironically, none of the tracks from Mini Bloom were tracks that went on to be singles. Superbloom got an additional 4 singles that weren't sneak peeks. Mini Bloom came out in November of 2019, and in May of 2020, the band actually announced that Mandy Lee and Etienne actually had ended their relationship. They had separated, but the band was going to stay together and keep making music, which they have. So good for them. I guess it was amicable enough and just kind of, different directions.
Yeah.
Superbloom itself came out just after that announcement on July 24th, 2020. So it's just recently celebrated its 4-year anniversary, which is pretty wild. I don't know, 2020 doesn't feel like 4 years ago, but it was. On the concept of Superbloom in the title, Mandy Lee said that the record unfolds my journey of finding a superbloom within the barren desert and the needed juxtaposition of the two in order to grow. And the barren desert that she was referring to was that recently ended relationship, right? The 8 years and then the breakup is kind of what she put lyrically into all of these songs. It centers around that experience and the emotional aftermath of the relationship ending. It was also very largely inspired by The Wizard of Oz and that classic tale, like the poppy fields after the dark forest, right? Superbloom in the desert. In fact, when they would play some of these songs live, they even would incorporate some sound bites from The Wizard of Oz into their set, which is cool. Superbloom actually didn't make it onto the Billboard 200, but it did reach number 78 on the Billboard album sales chart and number 48 on the current album sales chart. To date, Superbloom has also picked up more than 85 million Spotify streams. So, categorically, it's been a success, even if it didn't necessarily crack into the Billboard 200 when it came out. It's kind of this aggressive ambient indie pop record. Lots of horns and synths and also a lot of heavy drum and guitar parts. Honestly, I think this album kind of bears some resemblance to The Strike in a few ways.
Never heard of them.
You never heard of The Strike, the band that you brought? So noted. I don't think it's as punchy of a power pop kind of sound as The Strike did, but I think the way that they kind of weave other influences into the genre and the horns and just the style, I think, is a little strike-ish. But big changes were in store for MisterWives after Superbloom's release. It was around that time that Jesse Bloom left the band, and then in late 2021, the band was actually dropped from Fueled by Ramen, which sent them back into the world of independent record making. Kind of wild.
That is wild. Where were they dropped?
I honestly don't really know. But I would think, like, you put out, your first couple albums have been good, you've been on big tours, you put out an album like Superbloom, it's got 85 million streams. I don't get it. I saw a review that said the band had been chewed up and spit out by labels, which I think feels true. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've heard a lot of worse albums than this one from comfortably signed bands. So I don't know what to tell you. That's what happened. But fret not. In this recent stretch of independence, they have been doing all right. They put out a more punk-influenced record called Out of Your Mind in July of 2023, and lately, they've still been releasing even more singles. Just this year, in 2024, we got Organized Chaos, and on June 7th, they put out the song Other Side, featuring Charlotte Sands. I listened to those too. Those were pretty good singles too. So that's MisterWives so far. 2 charting albums, 1 charting EP, 3 charting singles. 2 of them have been certified RIAA. Reflections is platinum. Our Own House is gold. Can't beat it. That's where we're at. That's MisterWives. Now is the part in the show where the Mixtaper comes out, and he tells me true facts or lies about MisterWives.
True facts or true lies?
True facts or true lies. Yeah, except they're truly lies, some of these bad ones that he tells. But it's time for Factor Spin. Let's do some factor spinning.
Let's do the spinning.
I really think he might go all facts here.
All facts? Calling it early.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't tell you this. I know he's probably listening in.
Nah, he's off.
He hasn't done an all fact week in a long time.
Oh.
He came close on Springsteen, but it's been a while. So I think...
Oh, he's coming. He's coming.
Oh, shh.
Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper. You talking about me?
Were your ears burning? Yeah, just a little bit.
I was off getting a pumpkin spice latte.
It's very out of season right now.
No, this is the perfect season. Trust me, I'm the inventor. I know what season to drink it in.
All seasons. It's a year-round beverage to you, I'm sure.
Nothing like drinking a pumpkin spice latte in 95-degree heat.
Yeah, that really does sound super pleasant.
Wearing my supervillain suit, which is mainly black. Dark colors.
Yeah, you must hate the cold. Mixtaper, are you ready for some MisterWives trivia? I don't know. There's not really a joke there.
Ooh, MisterWives.
Yeah.
That's why Mixter-wife is what I'm going to call my future bride.
I thought she was the Miss Taper.
Well, yeah. Well, she's the Miss Taper right now, soon to be the Mrs. Taper.
Whoa, okay.
And the Mrs. Taper is soon to be the future ex-Mrs. Taper.
What?
What?
Interesting.
No, that was a Jurassic Park reference. That was a Jeff Goldblum reference.
You know I've only seen Jurassic Park one time.
Yeah, that's what Jeff Goldblum's character is like. He says he's always on the lookout for the next future ex-Mrs. whatever his last name is in the movie.
Goldblum.
Yeah.
I see. Your niche Jurassic Park references were too much for me.
Listen, it'd been a while since Goldblum had graced the podcast.
Find your inner Goldblum. Life finds a way. So can you. And I'm going to find a way to prevail on this factor spin.
Oh, good segue.
Thank you. I'm full of those. Connor derailed all my good segues earlier, so really had to bring it back.
I think these all have equal weight to them, so I'm going to let you pick 1 through 4.
Oh, no kind of final rampage here. Just all ramps.
They're all a bit weird. A bit quirky.
Let's start. You know what? This album starts with the song called The End. Let's start Factor Spin with fact number 4.
Okay. Etienne is the loudest person in the world.
The loudest person in the world.
Or more accurately, the noisiest person in the world.
Present company excluded. Does that include you?
Trying to sound noisy?
You've been known to clip on your mic a little bit from time to time.
Cause a ruckus?
You've been known to cause a ruckus.
There are many who might contest this title, but the band gave it to him, so
okay.
They would know best.
They would know him best, maybe, but not every other person in the world who may or may not be as loud or louder. So he's loud. What kind of noise is he making?
Really loud sneezes and snores.
Sneezes and snores. A lot of sinus noises.
Yeah.
I see.
A lot of snooze. Specifically, the band said that when he sneezes, you could probably hear him in a neighboring country, and that when he snores, it sounds like a herd of elephants.
A herd of elephants. Wow. Do elephants travel in herds? I guess they...
Yes, what?
What's a group of elephants? Is it a herd? I was thinking pack, but they're pachyderms, and that's exactly where my brain's at.
Well, yeah, what is a group of elephants? Herd, yep.
Or parade, or a memory.
A memory is so good because I never forget.
Yeah, Etienne snores as loud as a memory. Memory of elephant. Sounds like a perfume that smells like elephant, which doesn't sound very good.
Ooh, memory of elephants.
Oh, man. I don't know if Etienne really can boast to be the loudest. I think you and I have met someone who sneezes really loud. And
I mean, the band feels this way, to be fair.
Well,
he probably isn't.
Yeah, and they probably have to spend some time in close proximity with him. I don't know. Have they tried anything to fix this? Like, you know, the breathe right strips, or, I mean, there's surgeries you could do for some snoring. I don't know. Maybe allergy medicine for sneezing. I don't know. Whatever it is.
I don't know. Simply the band thinks he is quite loud.
I see. I like this. This is fun. I think this is a fact. No offense.
Thinks this is a fact.
And no offense to him. I can see it. We haven't had any facts about, I guess, the loudest person in the world yet, but now we have. And I think this is it. This is true. It's possible that you just added an element of sneezing or snoring to make it a spin. It could just be about snoring.
It's just one or the other.
I don't know. But I think it's true.
Well, offense taken, because this is a spin.
Oh, man. I feel like he ought to be more offended at you for saying he's the loudest person in the world than me for believing it.
He should be offended. He should be offended at the audience.
This is a fan submission spin?
This is a fan submission spin.
Wow. Oh, no. That's scary. I don't know what the audience knows. This should be true. Darn it. I want it to be true.
Should be true. He wanted it to be true.
Darn.
Why'd you want it to be true?
I don't know. It just seemed like an easy point.
Oh.
If I would have gotten it. I guess it was an easy point for you.
Correct.
Every point's an easy point for one of us.
I don't know. Some of them were pretty hard fought. Both sides.
That's true.
All right. That leaves you with, I believe, 1, 2, and 3.
It sure does.
Which would now make number 3 the end, sticking with your logic from the last.
So that just means we go in reverse order. I'll go 3. Sure. You suggested it. That must be what you want.
No, I don't really care.
No, it sounds like you wanted it. Let's go 3.
Okay, I want it. Okay. William loves to clean.
Okay, I mean, that could be a good thing. Loves to clean what? Like his house? Or what?
Just in general.
Just everything?
Yeah. He's a neat freak.
Okay, so like clean to a problematic level of like everything has to be spotless and, you know, everything in its right place, as Radiohead might say.
So much so that he's writing a book about how to clean.
He's writing a cleaning book? That's a lot.
Yeah, because he loves cleaning.
What kind of insight can he provide into cleaning that other people haven't already done?
I don't know.
Is it about like a mentality of cleanliness or about specific like cleaning techniques?
Yeah, I think it's like on like specific cleaning techniques because it's like trying to like gather all the best cleaning techniques into one book that he calls the Encleanopedia.
Encleanopedia?
Yeah. I mean, I've not heard it pronounced, but that's how it's spelled. It looks like encyclopedia, but
clean instead of cycle.
Yeah, the Encleanopedia.
I don't know how I feel about that, but I do. That just gave me a really good idea for a comprehensive book about recycling called the Recyclopedia. That probably already exists, but if it doesn't,
oh, that is good. The Recyclopedia.
Anyway, but that's not here and now. Clean and Encleanopedia. Ugh. I just can't even believe that. Do you have any examples of what his techniques are?
Recyclopedia.org exists.
Oh, yeah. So, see, that's taken. We didn't intentionally steal that. You can't sue us. I claim immunity.
Well, you've claimed it, so I guess it's yours.
That's right. Does he have any special, like, what are his recommended cleaning techniques?
I don't know any specific techniques, but I know he has stuff in his book from how to clean diamond rings to how to clean dogs. Like, he's not just talking items. He's just like cleaning in general.
Whoa, not just house cleaning, just general.
Yeah.
Wow. That does sound pretty hard to do. How long has he been working on that? And when does he think he'll be done?
I mean, can one ever be done? But also, I have no idea.
The work of someone who desires cleanliness so much can never be truly finished. I was with you on this. I really was.
Uh-huh. But I lost you, it sounds like?
Right up until you said...
Until I said Encleanopedia?
Exactly.
Listen, I knew that was going to throw you through a loop, but I can promise you I didn't come up with that.
You might not have, but maybe the audience did now.
Oh, the audience could have. That's true.
See? That could just be a thinly veiled twisting of your words.
I knew Encleanopedia was gonna be rough for you.
Or there might really be an Encleanopedia that's just not his.
That's also possible. Sounds like you're leaning towards spin.
I am, and I don't like the way you're pushing, so I'm going to say fact.
Playing the game.
Maybe. I don't know. It felt like you were trying to railroad me on the spin track, so...
Cracks me up when you do that.
I know, but I probably did it wrong, and I'm going to kick myself.
Wait, so you're going fact?
Yeah, I'm going fact. Am I cleaning the floor with you, or are you cleaning the floor with me?
I am cleaning the floor with you. This is a spin.
You try to do like a big dramatic pause, but like the way that I framed it, the only way that you could finish that sentence was with you.
Well, sometimes I go all the way up and then turn it around on you, even if it doesn't make sense grammatically.
That's true. Bummer.
I could have been like, I'm cleaning the floor with myself or something, you know, like I could have.
Yeah, you never can tell.
But yeah, this is a spin. And you're right, I did not come up with Encleanopedia.
Uh-huh.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. See, that's what I thought.
And it was a fan submission.
Really?
Yeah.
After all this time, the audience has been so silent. They've finally come back in droves to provide you with a bunch of facts. If you have facts or spins you want to send to the Mixtaper, by the way.
Yeah, if you want to send me stuff, I got an email.
Mixtaper@spinitpod.com.
Email me.
And you can hear your spins tricking me just like these last two have.
Email me with the fact details, like obviously who it's about, and how you'd like to be credited.
Yeah, all the details are on the Contact Us tab on our website, spinitpod.com.
Yep. Go there. Do that. Help me, Trick James.
Anyway, going back to front hasn't been working for me here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with number 1 next. Try and reverse the curse by reversing the order that I pick.
You're going to front back.
Yeah, sure.
Marc Campbell mixes up tomato and pea soup.
I think you're talking PEA like the vegetable.
Yeah.
Just checking. So I don't think that inherently sounds too awful. Am I losing it? Should that sound awful to me?
What do you mean?
Tomato and pea soup?
No, not together. Not like mixes together. Like mixes them up. Like doesn't know which one's which.
Oh, that's different. Okay, so I was confused. You said mixes tomato and pea soup, and I was like, okay.
I said mixes up tomato and pea soup, but I can see how that sounds like,
Right,
mixes it up like together.
Mixes up together.
Yeah.
It was really pretty ambiguous.
Yeah.
So he gets them confused for one another?
Yeah.
Regularly or one time?
One time.
Okay. Because it's once you've made the mistake, I mean...
He probably would make the mistake again if given the opportunity.
We changed what I've written here. Instead of Marc Campbell eats tomato and pea soup, mixed up tomato and pea soup. Confused, maybe, is a good adjective to use in a situation like this.
Hey, there's no better adjective than mixed.
I guess it's a verb. You get it. You know what I'm saying. But you're right. Mixed is a pretty good adjective. Which one did he need? Which one was he trying to get?
Tomato.
Trying to get tomato, ends up with pea.
Yep.
How far of a mix-up does this go? Like, how deep is it? Did he just grab the wrong one off the shelf at the store? Or did he, like, open the wrong can from his cabinet?
Oh, well, no.
And be like, oh, shoot, now I've got pea soup.
There was 2 bowls of soup. One with tomato, one with pea, and he took the wrong one.
Oh, okay, like at a restaurant kind of thing. Not like him cooking or making food at home or anything like that. This is just at a restaurant. Someone put down 2 bowls of soup, and he ended up with the wrong kind.
Yeah. How did he end up with the wrong one? They look very different.
You would think, but I'm guessing you're about to tell me either they don't look very different or he's colorblind.
He's colorblind! Red-green colorblind, specifically. So red and green look identical.
Well, red and green are the 2 colors that would probably be the most crucial to identifying peas or tomatoes. Look, you're going to hate me for this. I feel like this is a spin.
Okay.
And I don't know if you did this on purpose.
What?
But the man's name is Marc Campbell. I feel like...
Oh, my God.
I feel like, did you just make, like, a soup fact about Campbell, or was that an accident?
Hey, do what your heart wants.
It sounds like it was an accident, but I don't...
It was an accident, but do what your heart wants.
It's pretty suspicious.
I can't even be mad.
I mean, like, or if he was colorblind, even really, he would just make it about specific soups because his last name was Campbell, and that's going to be pretty hard for me to get over.
I can't even be mad, and nothing I say will convince you either way, so do what your heart wants.
There's just... I don't know. Campbell's possibilities. Darn it. So this is the only time he's mixed it up. The waiter sets down the soup and says which kind it is, right? I mean...
I really don't know how... I just know they were both there. I don't know. Maybe it was a soup buffet.
A soup buffet? That's awesome. That sounds great.
In my head, I'm thinking like Frisch's style, where they got like the soup and salad bar where you go up and get your own.
Uh-huh. It would be pretty jarring to expect tomato soup and get pea soup.
This was a fun little story they told.
Uh-huh. A fun little story. I
get it. You gotta go spin. You can't risk it. You can't risk being Campbell souped.
I mean, you see my dilemma.
I see your dilemma. I get it. It was totally not. It has nothing to do with that. But it's a really funny joke. I cannot take credit for it.
Now you're trying to get me to say spin really hard again.
I'm just telling you to do what your heart desires. I'm not trying to make you do anything.
This has to be a spin. There's no way.
Okay.
I can't get over it.
Then lock and spin.
I'll lock and spin. This can't be true. And if it is true, I guess you're right. For my pride's sake, I cannot let you pull this one over on me. I feel bad enough for missing like hotel in the phonetic alphabet of Neutral Milk Hotel.
Yeah, that was another hard fought one.
Like, don't pretend this isn't something you would do.
This is a spin.
Thank goodness.
But had nothing to do with the soup pun. That's just a hilarious coincidence.
Well, you really shot yourself in the foot. I really might have believed it if it was anyone else.
I didn't shoot myself in the foot. A fan shot me in the foot.
You got shot in the foot.
I'm starting to wonder if the fan made this pun.
I could see it if it was specifically a spin about MisterWives. That one made it past your pun detector, too.
Amazing.
Well, it was a giveaway.
I legitimately almost spit my Dr. Pepper out when you said that. I was taking a drink of Dr. Pepper.
I thought you had a pumpkin spice latte.
Both. I like to mix.
Yeah, just like Marc Campbell mixes his soups. You mix your Dr. Pepper and your pumpkin spice. The secret 24th flavor.
Pumpkin spice. I got one of those cups that's divided down the middle, so you can have two different drinks and has its two separate straws.
Straws. Okay, I was like, if you're tipping the cup, that's not going to work. You're just going to pour one drink into your eyes.
You seen those kind of cups?
I can't say that I have. I can picture what you're saying with straws, but again, that's not one you could tip.
Split cup.
It seems unnecessary, but neat.
Well, that was a fun one. That even surprised me.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. I think moving from back to front to front to back really helped me out here. So I'm going to continue moving front to back and go with number 2. I know it's the only one I have left, but conceptually, that's what I'm doing now, is advancing instead of going back.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Mandy was the smartest man in school.
Okay. Is this like a fact about how she was like a valedictorian or something? What are you going for here?
She was the smartest man in school.
Right. Like smarter than other people named Amanda? Are you like shortening Mandy even farther? Amanda to Mandy to man?
No, I am not.
I don't. What's the deal?
I don't know how to say it in a funny way. I feel like I need you to ask some better questions.
Better questions. I don't even know where to start. What made her so smart?
She took a test.
What kind of test?
Like one of those tests where you like get put in a percentile for how smart you were.
Okay, what's her percentile?
She ranked the highest.
Okay.
Amongst the men.
Did she not rank the highest amongst everyone or all the women? Just better than all the guys?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Basically, okay. Basically, what I know happened is somehow there was a mix-up in because they ran all the data for it, right?
Oh, she ended up in the wrong pool of data?
Yeah, she ranked number 1 in the men's pool.
Okay, got it.
So she was the smartest man.
Well, there you go. I was really confused about it. I really thought you were just trying to make a play on her name.
Yeah, and I couldn't find a good way to really tell you without just saying. I was trying to figure. I was hoping it was going to come a little more naturally.
I don't know how I was going to make that happen. Sorry, I tried.
I don't know.
Do you know what her score was? Not that we have any frame of reference.
No, I do not.
Did she get bragging rights? Were all the dumber men jealous?
I guess I do know kind of how she performed amongst the women. I take that back from earlier.
Okay.
After sorting out that conundrum and putting in the proper list, she ranked the 3rd smartest in her group.
Gotcha. Okay, I like this. I don't know how it gets so mixed up like that. Seems like somebody dropped the ball, but it doesn't seem impossible. And I mean, we already talked about, she had all those birthdays, and wisdom comes with age. So I think we're going to say this one's a fact. I think you've done 3 spins and a fact here.
3 spins and a fact. I can, in fact, tell you I have done an all spins week. This is a spin.
No. Wow.
And also a fan submission.
Well, I really owe something to Campbell Soup for that. Not a sponsor. They really saved my bacon.
Yeah, almost a shutout. If we gone with a different name, might have had it.
Perhaps. This was another good spin.
Thank you. And in fact, the fans, I had specific instructions from them when helping me come up with these.
Okay.
Because I struggled to find interesting true facts about MisterWives that you wouldn't probably already just know.
That is not unlikely.
So I specifically said, go find me true facts about misters.
About misters? So this is about Mr. Clean.
So now the fun game you get to play is, can you figure out the 4 misters?
For misters. This is great. Okay. Well, I'm going to start with Mr. Clean. He seems to be a culprit for loving to clean with the Encleanopedia.
Oh yeah, Mr. Clean wrote a mythical book called the Encleanopedia.
Don't call it mythical like it's some...
That's what they call it. The Encleanopedia is a mythical book written by Mr. Clean.
Wait, so is it real or is that Mr. Clean lore?
Well, I think it's Mr. Clean lore, but it also says that Procter & Gamble eventually got a hold of this writing, according to the company, and adopted the Mr. Clean brand. So the Encleanopedia is apparently just the company's history. It has been printed out for use at press events. So there's a version of it that exists, but it's in its true intent a mythical fake as part of the lore. Other fun parts of the lore that were considered when talking about Mr. Clean was that Mr. Clean left home to learn everything he could about cleaning, not for himself, but for others.
Oh, what a man of the people.
As a baby, Mr. Clean was found cleaning a farmer's front steps.
What a guy. A hero.
And then the farmer and wife decided to adopt Mr. Clean.
Like Superman?
The thing about vintage Mr. Clean commercials said you could use the product on diamond rings and dogs, so that's where I got that little tidbit from.
Mm-hmm. Probably shouldn't, though, right? Probably shouldn't use the same cleaning products on your pets and your jewelry.
Apparently, in 1962, Procter & Gamble launched a contest for people to give Mr. Clean a first name. The grand prize would be either $30,000 in cash or a $30,000 house and everything in it.
Oh, I know this. Oh, I've forgotten it, but I knew it at one point.
And apparently the winning name was veritably.
Veritably. That's right.
Which, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, this word is used to emphasize the great degree of something. In other words, the name for veritably clean would mean a great degree of clean.
Yes, that's him. Veritably clean.
Mr. Clean has been portrayed one time by an actor in a commercial in the early 60s. And there are rumors that Mr. Clean is a genie, and that European Parliament has a problem with Mr. Clean. They don't like how sexual stereotyped he is.
Okay. Well, that's easy. Do I get bonus points for that? I know the mister.
You get some mixed bucks.
Okay.
But who else? What? You got 3 other misters.
I'm really wanting to give the loudest person in the world. I don't know about snoring and sneezing, but I know one loud mister that's coming to mind, and that's Mr. T. He's a loud mister.
Oh, Mr. T was one that I got some fun information for, but one I chose not to use.
Okay. He pities us fools, you know, and I respect that.
Yeah.
Loudest person in the world, Mr. Running out of misters.
There's a lot of misters. I got a lot of different mister submissions. Some honorable mentions. Mr. T, of course.
Yes.
Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, he would have been a good one, too.
Mr. Incredible and Mr. Peabody were all good honorable mentions that I did not use. Oh, and Mr. Miyagi.
Those are all really good.
I really wanted to use Mr. Miyagi, but it didn't seem like it fit.
No, yeah, you're right. Mr. Sandman is a loud snorer. I don't know.
That's honestly a good guess. No. The noisiest person in the world goes to Mr. Noisy.
Who's Mr. Noisy?
He lives on top of a hill in Wobbletown.
What is that?
Which is called that because it always wobbles when Mr. Noisy is shouting.
What's that from?
That's Mr. Noisy.
Oh, okay. Got it. I've seen this sort of character before, but I can't attribute it to anything. What's he a part of? What's he belong to?
The 2008 TV series, The Mr. Min Show.
Okay. I never watched it. I guess, saw commercials for it or something.
And he's also part of a book, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that TV series is a book adaptation. Hard to tell.
Fair enough. Mr. Noisy is the loudest person in the world, of course.
So that one I didn't think you'd get, and I don't think you're going to get the smartest man one either. But I think you should definitely get red-green colorblind if you think about other misters.
Well,
so
is it a human mister? Because a lot of dogs are colorblind.
It's a human mister.
Mr. Ed probably is colorblind. I don't know. Is Mr. Ed the smartest man in school? He can talk, right?
Nope. Mr. Terrific, the DC superhero, is where that one was based out of.
Oh, yeah. No idea.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd get that one, but I liked the little bit of information. It fit well, but you should definitely get red, green, colorblind. Human mister, maybe one of the most famous misters that are human misters.
One of the most famous human misters. Magoo?
That's another one that I should have put in my honorable mentions.
But he's not colorblind. He's just like blind.
He's just blind. I specifically stayed away from Mr. Magoo because I knew you knew a lot about Mr. Magoo.
I know nothing about Mr. Magoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't know me.
Mr. Magoo feels like somebody you would know.
No, I've never met the guy.
Oh, Mr. Bean is another one I just thought of that I didn't get suggestions for, but would have been a good Mister.
Wow, this is a long mini game.
It's a lot of good Misters.
What time period does this human Mister come from?
Ooh. Okay. I don't know if I want to give you that.
Oh, man.
But I could. 1950s, 60s, 70s, that time frame.
That's 30 years of time frame, so
Yeah.
that doesn't narrow it down a ton, but it does eliminate Mr. Beast.
I mean, really, it was the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and slightly into the thousands.
Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Oh, another good Mister, but not human.
Snuffy. He's not a human Mister, not even a little bit. There are human Misters inside of him. Mr.
Come on. Can't believe you're not going to get this.
Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Mr. No,
Ooh, could have done Mr. President, but no.
Oh, Mr. President. Yeah, of course. I should have known.
No, that's not it.
I don't know. Who mixes up their pea and tomato soup?
This Mister wants to be your neighbor.
Rogers. Mr. Rogers. I didn't...
Mr. Rogers
Oh.
was red-green colorblind.
I guess I did know that.
And once had to ask his television partner, Josie Carey, to taste tomato and pea soup to tell him which was which.
That's why. Why couldn't she just look at it, though? But anyway, that's not the point. I should have known Mr. Rogers. You're right.
I really thought that was going to be like one of your first guesses.
Bad neighbor. That shows you what a bad neighbor I am.
Aw. Did you like that mini game? Was that a fun mini game?
That was a fun mini game. Yeah. I should have known you had an angle for this one.
Once I realized I wasn't going to find anything true, I said, what kind of angle can I put on MisterWives? And it was so funny listening to you and Connor discuss the MisterWives thing and the Sister Wives and going through all that. I was like, ho, he doesn't even know. I have a bunch of Misters coming up.
A bunch of Mister-ies is what that mini game was.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that was a bunch of Mister-ies.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed this round of Factor Spin.
As always.
And I'm sorry that I did not have any true information this week.
That's okay. You know what? This was your...
It's been a while since I've had one that was completely engrossed in lies.
That's true. And this was your first win in Season 8.
Wow, I won. Also, I did overhear you and Connor talking about how you thought it was going to be an all facts week. So that made me happy too.
Well, that was just speculation. I was just taking a guess. And I thought you might have heard that. I knew we shouldn't have talked about it this close to Factor Spin time.
Yeah, that'll teach you. But until next time, nah.
All right. Fare thee well, Mixtaper. I will see you again in a week. And welcome back to Connor. Mr. Connor.
That's Mr. Rap to you.
Mr. Rap? You think you need to go by the title Mr. Rap?
Mr. JC.
You were JK.
I was JK. Mr. JK.
Right. Well, shall we continue?
No, I think we should end.
Oh.
That would have been a really good transition if we didn't have to do flipping album art first.
Yeah, if we were actually ending. You know what? We'll remember to do that at the end, too, and then you can really use it for real. But you're right, album art comes first. Look at this album art on Superbloom.
Pretty cool.
Observe.
It looks like the kind of thing that should be out there with Toto Forever.
Yes,
Yeah.
100% what I think of when I look at this. Just a mirror / window out in the desert, surrounded by rose petals, a bloom, a super bloom in the desert. It is what it says it is. Does what it says on the can.
Like soup.
Like a soup bloom. Yeah, you're right. That was a very soupy episode.
Soup bloom.
I really like it. I really like the color gradient on the font.
It is a pretty color gradient.
Superbloom. It looks great. I like how it kind of blends into the background, but also kind of stands out. And the further into the words you go, the more it kind of pops. Which, honestly, thematically parallels this album a decent bit. I like the choice of the mirror. This whole album is very reflective. The mirror kind of does a good job at bringing that into literality. Real nice sand dunes. Nice little blooms, nice little flowers. And the color scheme just kind of fits this kind of pop music very well, I think. A lot of pinks and purples and blues. But, as I've already alluded to, this album kind of seems backwards at first. The first track on this album is
the end.
Yes. What do you think?
Almost like you're looking at the album through a mirror, so it's backwards.
Ooh, I like that. Clever. Well, what Mandy says is, we start with the end because it's really the beginning. Ooh, right? That's what it's meant to represent.
Hey, every end is just the beginning of a new beginning.
Oh, yeah. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end.
It's making some sort of soup. All the ingredients.
That's right.
Getting in the pot.
Yes. She said, acknowledging the long road up ahead and not covering my eyes because although I was and still am fearful, I wanted to presently deal with the heart-wrenching closure of one chapter. Remember that breakup at the end of an 8-year relationship. She said she wanted to deal with that while welcoming the new beginning that came with it. We separate beginnings and endings, but the two really can be synonymous. So that's why we start with the end. It's a beginning in its own right. The relationship ends, but the next stages are only getting started. What do you think? Pop album? Have any expectations? Any good feelings, bad feelings?
I expect pop.
Yeah, you got it.
No, that's really it.
Oh, you just expected pop. Okay.
I like to keep my expectations managed.
Well, that's fair. You know, this song kind of reminds me a little bit of some of the songs we talked about on Young the Giant. Just with its melody, kind of feels very familiar to some of the stuff on their self-titled album. Instrumentally and production-wise, it's very different, but I think they share a lot of similar elements in their construction.
Sure.
There are a lot of really good harmonies. The chorus, you know, not cover my eyes this time this time. A lot of good chances to get a fun melody in there. It's kind of, each one of these songs, I think, has its own signature kind of hook. That's like the highlight part of the song. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. For me, I do think it's kind of that pre-chorus. A lot of road up ahead, not cover my eyes this time. I like the end.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
It was a good start.
I think so. And we've just got 19 songs to talk about. So if it feels like we're flying,
Yeah.
we may be flying a little bit, but we gotta...
There's just so much to talk about.
I know, we got a haul. The second track on the album is Ghost, and I realized today that I think Ghost might be one of the most common song titles that we've talked about on this podcast.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
It's at least the third. We did Ghost from The Head and the Heart. We talked about Ghost on Neutral Milk Hotel just a few weeks ago, and now MisterWives has a Ghost. I mean, we did 3 Around the Worlds, too. I don't know what else we've done multiples of, but Ghost is certainly in the running. Most Ghost.
Certainly.
This one gets a little rockier. There's a little guitar in there, a little bit more of an edge, and I think it's a little more up-tempo than the end, which is a great shift in energy. You know, if you're looking at the end as the end of a relationship, but the door opening into a new beginning, Ghost is kind of hitting the ground running. She talked a little bit about the song and some of the lyrics. She said, if I can't have you completely, I'll have you in between, is something I'd like to never settle for again. Not within myself and not with someone else. I lowered my standards for what a relationship should be at a time when I was grieving the beginning stages of loss for my 8-year relationship. I reconciled with a love that had one foot in the door and one foot out and stayed in something while watching both of us fade. And that's what the lyrics of Ghost are all about. I'm watching you fade, hoping you stay, trying to keep you with me, but it's not working and we're both slowly slipping away from this relationship. This song has one of my favorite melodies, I think.
Yeah?
It's a close race. I don't know. I always get into the song that I'm listening to in the moment. So it's really kind of hard for me to say. But one of the lingering melodies from this album is Watching You Fade. That always stays with me pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because it's exactly about the opposite thing.
I like Ghosts. I think the end was a good start to the album to like set the tone, but I think Ghost is where we really kick it into gear.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's also got one of the stronger verses. I think a lot of the songs leave their hooks for the chorus, and that's where they have their most memorable moments, but I think Ghost is actually pretty strong throughout, which is a really big element of it.
Sure.
I like also that, I mean, it's a longer album, yes, and that's just because of the quantity of songs. None of these songs inherently are too long. A lot of them are like just barely over 3 minutes or even under in some cases.
A lot of them are pretty standard length.
Yeah, so I think it makes it kind of a quick listen because you're never in one place for too long. Another one of my favorites, and one of the album's most popular songs, is track 3, Why? No spaces. One word, why?
Why?
Shorter than if you were to write it out as 3 separate words, but longer than if you were just to do letters.
Tell me why, oh, why?
Was that as fun for you as it is for me?
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
I really like it. I think it's really cool. Honestly, some of the instrumental choices in Why give me like Midnight City vibes. Do you know the song Midnight City? I don't know why I asked.
Even if I do, I'll probably just sing it in a way that makes you think I know a different song.
Well, it's not really a sing-alongable song much. It's just, I think, mostly instrumental. But I really like some of the production decisions, the instrumental ones on Why. Mandy says, I love these albums where I get good quotes for every song. Just gotta say, thank you artists who do that because I really think it provides a lot of cool insight into these songs. But this one sure does.
Why?
Mandy says, one of the first songs I wrote for Superbloom. is whywhywhy. She said, I was horrified writing this one because at the time, nobody knew what I was going through. And if I wrote my truth and then sent it to the band or family or friends, it made what I was suppressing very evident and real, and I felt too exposed. She said, I've always written from a place of transparency and honesty, but this felt too personal. I'm happy I didn't shy away from my pain and didn't do my experiences a disservice by trying to avoid it. So this is an exceptionally personal song, to the point where she didn't even want to put it out. And I think what's interesting is the dichotomy between the music and the lyrics.
Yeah.
Of, you're pulling me under, and we were supposed to go so much longer than this. You know, there's still embers, but things are breaking, and can I numb this heart that's full of splinters? Why, oh, why is this happening? Give me a reason, tell me, talk to me, do something. Like, it's such sad content, but it's put over this backdrop that is just so catchy and like dance-alongable and thoroughly pop music, and that's really interesting.
Heck yeah.
All I see is you when the day glows, reminding me that you're just a shadow. That feels like a good thematic callback to Ghost, too, watching you fade. Why is maybe a strong contender for my playlist pick. Maybe. I don't know. I think it's really going to come down to what you want on the playlist.
Ooh.
It's going to influence what I want on the playlist. One of those situations. But it's a decision that I can't make alone. That's for sure. And Alone is up next.
Sure is.
I think Alone is an interesting blend. It's a little more restrained and serious than the up-tempo songs that we've just come through at first.
At first.
But by the time we get to the chorus, I'm done with solo crying alone. Like that kicks back up almost to where we've been this whole time. I like the dynamic contrast in this one.
Yeah, this one was okay.
Okay is okay.
It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my least favorite. It was middle of the pack.
Okay, well, it's a big pack to be in the middle of the memory of elephants. It's a big pack to be in the middle of. Was there anything in particular that, like, it could have done better?
I don't know. I think I just still had why stuck in my head while I was trying to take notes on this one.
Of course. Well, it's still stuck in my head now, trying to do an episode on this one. But you're right. I do really like that instrumental contrast, though. And Mandy talked about that one as well. I guess Sir Sly wrote it. And she said the somber instrumental that the guys at Sir Sly wrote really spoke to me and sounded just as I was feeling, before there were even any words written to it. This song evolved into an epic arpeggiated synth chorus with a pulsing beat. It really helped me release such enormous and difficult feelings when I felt small and alone. And I think that's cool. You know, to write a song about being alone makes you feel less alone. We're kind of on a stretch of the album now that feels like it's songs like Alone. I think Alone all the way through Valentine's Day maybe is kind of a little bit more of a serious section, a little bit less of an upbeat, poppy, sing-alongable section. I mean, she talked about feeling small on Alone, and on Stories, the track that comes right after it, she said, this song makes me cry every time. The first half of the album really does. She said, I had never done writing sessions before this record, but I was experiencing such a debilitating breakup that I had to shock my system and shake things up. Forcing myself out of bed to get to a session marked in my calendar created structure and helped push me forward. Although it was way out of my comfort zone, these sessions, particularly this one for Stories, started to feel more comforting than discomforting. And so that's what the song is all about. Telling herself stories, you know, trying to make it through this breakup, trying to paint a picture of what reality could or should have been, but isn't. It's really interesting. There's some cool lyrics in here too. Little lies turning into big cries. We could take the whole ocean and fill it up 100 times. I think there's some really cool lyrical work.
That'd be a lot.
Yeah. Some of her favorite lyrics that she talked about were, I try to find heaven whenever it's hell. I tried to stay in love and do it without your help. She said, they're lyrics that weren't easy to write nor sing, but were needed for me to realize you can't be the only person fighting for a relationship to work. I always felt like my relationship came last, that our love for music and our career was forever in the forefront, and we were on the back burner. And for a long time, I thought I deserved that.
And now she realizes she deserves to have to fill the ocean 100 times.
Well, no. She feels like she has to fill up the ocean 100 times.
Oh.
But her writing this song and stuff is her learning that she deserves better and can do better. You know what I mean? It's about writing that experience and putting it in a song so that it's like released, that it's out there and therapeutic like that. She said she's learning to unlearn that stuff. And this record has been a huge factor in helping me to do so. I really like kind of the drums on Stories in some of those chorus parts. It's kind of vibey and low-key. I like Stories.
But what do you think about Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day is a horrible day to end a relationship. That's what this song is all about. I think Valentine's Day is okay. Valentine's Day, I don't know if it's in the bottom of songs in as much as I think it's a bad song, but it is one of the least memorable songs on the album to me. It's never one I remember or seek out or am in the mood for. Valentine's Day feels like an album track to me. And again, it's very overtly personal. 8 years, 8 whole years. How do we end up right here? Retrace my steps to see what I should have changed.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Valentine's Day.
Hit me. Mixed feelings like you confused one feeling for another, or like you put your feelings together and stirred them up.
Mixed like what you thought happened with the pea and tomato soup.
Okay, together then.
Yeah. But like in a way that isn't satisfactory.
Oh no, bad feelings?
No, for some reason I like the lyrics. I like the words I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I like the ballad style instrumentals, but there's just something about putting them together that makes this song just kind of meh.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could put my finger on it either.
It almost feels kind of plain.
Okay.
Not enough seasoning in the soup.
Yeah.
Feels basic.
I can get behind that. I think a lot of these songs have a little bit of that MisterWives special sauce in a way that Valentine's Day doesn't.
Gotta have that sass.
I totally understand that. In her own words, Mandy says Valentine's Day is indulging in the absolute peak, or low, I guess, of sadness and heartbreak. I had to revisit this one a year later when I first began writing it because I was really in the trenches and I felt too raw to write this openly. I needed a bit more time to come back a little stronger and be able to revisit this pain rather than writing it while it felt like I was bleeding out. I don't think it gets sadder than officially calling it quits on the one holiday revolving around the celebration of love and romance. She said, the writers of my life have a sick sense of humor. So that's Valentine's Day. It's okay. I think we start to come up out of that slump with Over the Rainbow.
Now, when we get to Over the Rainbow, is this one of those Wizard of Oz references?
Yes. Obviously the most overtly Wizard of Oz inspired track that we get here. If you think of like the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow, this song is probably a far cry from what you would expect if that's what you've got in mind. I don't know what kind of vibes this one has. Over the Rainbow kind of has a darker tone to it.
I'm a big fan of Over the Rainbow.
Really? What about it?
The Wizard of Oz song.
Oh, Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you meant this one.
And this one.
Oh, okay. Cool.
This has got that spice, that Superbloom spice.
It's got a lot of spice and attitude to it.
Whoa.
It does.
Gotta watch how much attitude you put in the soup. It'll give me heartburn.
You don't want attitude soup?
It'll give me heartburn. I want it. It'll just give me heartburn. It doesn't want me.
Take a Tums and get over it. In fact, it's got so much attitude that Mandy says this song is her Beyonce with a baseball bat smashing stuff with the smile on her face in Hold Up moment.
Carrie Underwood did it better.
Carrie Underwood did dig her keys right into the side of his pretty little souped up four-wheel drive and carved her name into his leather seats, but Beyonce smashed up stuff with a baseball bat in Hold Up. But then Mandy Lee can't seem to find home. She went over the rainbow and she's walking in shoes with no rubies. It's a bad dream that she can't wake up from.
Oh no rubies.
Yeah, her home, this relationship that she's been so comfortable in for so long, has been torn up by a tornado and killed the Wicked Witch of the East. And here she is. What's she to do? Nobody ever talks about the Wicked Witch of the East, by the way. She just gets killed, like major plot point.
I mean, they talk about her.
For like 2 minutes.
Talk about how happy they are she's dead.
They do sing a whole song about her. You're right. It's just not very positive. But she's a witch.
I mean, to them, it's very positive. They're very happy. It's a very positive song.
Yes. But for this Over the Rainbow, Mandy said, I got to a real dark place of anger, which is really just loud sadness, which, by the way, is a comparison that I really like. She said, I realized I couldn't fast forward my way out of it and had to allow these feelings to exist. And she said this album has many nods to the parallels of Wizard of Oz, so this was a spin off the original Over the Rainbow, but the idea is flipping the meaning of it and being over trying to be okay and putting on a facade that seems like I'm staying afloat when in reality I felt like I was drowning. I think it's a fun song. It's an upbeat song. I like the idea of can't seem to find my way home. It really feels referential to other songs on this album, namely Find My Way Home, which is coming in a bit. I think thematically it's one of the album's linchpins that holds everything together. And up next is track 8, It's My Turn.
No, it's my turn.
This song has a cool groove to it. You know what? One of the things I like about Superbloom is that each of these songs kind of has its own niche, its own like half and half genre, right? Everything's kind of blended differently. They sprinkle the MisterWives sauce on jazz at some points and blues at some points, dubsteppy at some point. But It's My Turn is just another one of the songs that feels really unique on this album. You'll find a lot that sounds like MisterWives. You'll find that special sauce in a lot of places, but you won't find a lot of songs that use it quite like It's My Turn.
It's My Turn was another middle pack for me.
I mean, that's fair. Again, a ton of these songs have to end up in the middle of the pack. I can't really fault you for it because there's 19 of them, so do what you gotta do. But of the like hooks that are big and memorable, It's My Turn does have one of the weaker ones, melodically. but I like it. You know, she said, carrying on with the mindset from Over the Rainbow, she said, It's My Turn is one that I don't think I'd have the courage to sing if it wasn't for working with Kay Flay. She pushed me to say things I wanted to say but was afraid to address head on, and encouraged me not to do the dance of hiding it in words crafted to disguise where I was at, which I definitely do often. She said, I feel really guilty and ashamed when I unraveled to a place that felt so unlike myself. It's My Turn acknowledges that I'm allowed to have my moment of losing myself while trying to fill the void with a lifestyle that I knew wasn't healthy or right for me. Looking back, I could never live how I was living, but I think those ugly moments of wreckage are needed for growth. And so that's what she talks about in the vacuum of this relationship ending. It's my turn to be the crazy one, to come undone and let the house burn. Just what's holding me back anymore? I need to express this. I need to live like this and get it out of my system and off my chest. You can fake the fun and the poison makes it worse, but it's my fun. You know, you get it. It's all in here. I like that thematically, even if musically it is middle of the pack for some. But Mr. Trumpet Guy, Mr. Brass Guy.
Yes.
Did you like Find My Way Home?
Yes.
I knew you would.
Find my way home.
I know. This one's a fun one.
It's a good one.
It's got a great energy.
This album really is a bit of a roller coaster. To switch off the soup metaphor for a second.
It's like eating soup on a roller coaster.
It's like eating soup at an amusement park. Sometimes you're eating soup in a boring line, and other times the soup's going all over you as you're going up and down the hills and around the loop-de-loops.
Well, see, that's interesting because in that scenario, it sounds like the better time to be eating soup would be when you're in the line because it would be super unpleasant when you're on the fun roller coaster,
Well,
spilling soup all over you.
only if you're not a true soup or star.
A superstar?
Can we give MisterWives the soup or star award?
Sure, they are superstars. Marc Campbell Superstar Award. We'll name it after him.
Oh, he'll love that.
I'm sure he might. But you like the horns. This is a good part of the roller coaster soup.
Yeah.
I really like him too. It's just got such a fun energy to it. Find My Way Home does.
But much like when I go to an amusement park, I wish I could skip the line part and just always be on the fun part.
Well, there's enough songs on this album that are fun parts that you could definitely just do that on your own personal listening time.
Yeah, but when I had to rank that record, I couldn't do that.
No, that's true. You couldn't just... You got to take the good with the bad.
So it factors into the score.
Yeah. Well, Mandy says this is definitely one of her favorites to play live. She said, I'm clinging to this song came out during COVID, right? Pandemic and stuff. Playing live wasn't really a thing that you could do a lot in the early days when this record was out. But she said, I'm clinging to the memory of playing live, just as I clung to the memory of home when I was so lost and was trying to find my way back. She said this was one of the songs. We always started off with a soundbite from The Wizard of Oz where Dorothy and company enter the dark, haunted forest. And she says, I don't like this forest. It's dark and creepy. To which the Scarecrow replied, I think it'll get darker before it gets lighter, which really encompasses the whole record, she says. So, yeah, I guess on the roller coaster sentiment, this is it getting darker. Like, we're still on the descent for Find My Way Home. Do you play poker?
I have been known to play poker a time or two.
Okay, I don't play poker.
Really?
Really, yeah. I've never really learned all the official rules or how to bet on it or anything. I know the general concept. It's just a game about lying to people about having better cards than them. But yeah, I don't know all the rules about how much you bet or when or how or what beats what.
Well, okay, that last part's important.
Right. I'd be really good at poker right now because I also have no clue what I'm doing. I'll go all in.
The other part kind of just will come with playing. I mean, by playing, you will figure that out pretty darn easily. You can bet whatever you want unless somebody else has already bet higher than you, then you have to call or raise. You can still bet whatever you want as long as you at least call.
See, there's all this terminology I don't understand.
And call just means you bet the same amount as them or more.
But then why not just call it something that makes more sense?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Why call it call? And why not just like, oh, I'll match what you did? I don't know all the rules of poker.
Fair enough.
But apparently, in Texas Hold'em poker, a 7-2 is the worst possible hand. Is it called a 7-2? 7-2? Something. It's the worst thing because a 7 and a 2 is
7-2, yeah.
It's the lowest hand that can't complete a straight.
Yep.
A 2 is just out of reach because you can't go, 4, 5, 6, 7 or whatever.
Yep. And a 2's the lowest card, and then obviously a 7
is not close enough to reach the 2.
Is the lowest card you can have without a suit, right?
Yeah, right.
For it to be a 7-2, it also has to be off suit because if they're the same suit, you have a chance for a flush.
See?
Or to be considered a 7-2, you have to have it be a 7 and a 2 of different suits.
Right. Well, that's what this next song is about, 7-2. It's about being dealt an unlucky hand, like poker. She said it's about taking the concept of, a 2-7 offsuit, the worst and unluckiest hand to be dealt, taking that concept and making the best of the crap hand you've been dealt. She said, if anything, I've always used hardships as fuel to fight through my struggles, even when it feels like all the odds are against you. 7-2 kind of feels like almost like a blues rock kind of song in some of those chorusy spots. One thing that 7-2 reminded me of on the whoa part is that it almost felt like a Florence and the Machine kind of song. Just the way that they structure the harmonies.
Actually, apparently, 7-2 suited has only a slightly better chance. Huh.
Oh, I got you off on a poker tangent now.
Yeah, 7-2 suited has a 38.16% chance against a random hand, whereas a 7-2 offsuited has a 34.58% chance. So it's only 4% better to have it suited. So they're really close to being equally the worst.
Yeah, not that different. But sounds like it would be right at home on How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful. And I kind of like that. That's versatility. I think she just does a good job with the vocals on it. I like her power. I liked her range. I think she's got a really, really rich kind of mid-range sound, but she doesn't have to sacrifice her higher range for it.
7-2 is another one that I enjoyed, which surprised me based on the Spotify playlist.
Yeah. I don't know if it really seems necessarily like your style. I don't know if I would have guessed that you would have enjoyed 7-2 very much. Knowing the song and knowing you.
I don't know, I like the
It's a far cry from the ballad guy.
I kind of like it when they go a little more on like the punk side. So maybe I would have liked their punk album that they came out with recently, you mentioned.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, we're at about the halfway point through this record.
We sure are.
I think we're entering into the stronger half, but my big concern is I'm worried you're getting a little fatigued or burnout at this point in the MisterWives journey.
I see.
Did you still have more left in the tank, or had you hit rock bottom by rock bottom?
I still had some in the tank, but I was running low.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it's a shame. I really do think it's the stronger half, but we'll get there.
Should have put it first then, or just gotten rid of the weaker half.
No, but thematically that doesn't make sense to put it first, because it's the bounce back half. And that's what rock bottom is. Rock bottom's like the turning point thematically for the album. This is where she hits rock bottom after that relationship ends. And then the rest of the album is kind of a trajectory of bouncing back and recovering after the hard breakup. This is the blooming part of the Superbloom. Ooh, imagine, okay, I don't know why it took this long into the episode to think of it. Imagine a super blooming onion.
Whoa.
I know, that'd be pretty good. Outback, get on that. Anyway, Rock Bottom, Mandy said it was the last song she wrote for the record. And she said it felt like I danced my way to the finish line. Back to the sentiment of Valentine's Day, I don't think I would have been able to write this song while I was in rock bottom. I was in denial that I had unhinged in such an unhealthy way and needed time to pass for wounds to heal. So I was able to reflect on where I had been and where to go from there. So that's cool. I like that she waited and got some perspective on it. And, sometimes it could be overwhelming to try and write about so many intense emotions right in the thick of it. I also really like Rock Bottom. It's another song, kind of like some on the first half of the record, that the lyrics are rough. And about hitting rock bottom, but the song sounds so fun.
It sounds so fun.
It does, especially that chorus. And I think it's cool that the chorus kind of has an optimistic bent to it. She says, I finally hit rock bottom. Fallen angels, I've taught them. Now I know I'm never coming back. I fall just to get back up. So, even in the midst of rock bottom is the start of that bounce back sequence. I like it a lot. This song has a lot more brass instruments. A lot more harmonies. This one kind of is reminiscent of like a 70s, almost a disco kind of track. It's just another way they weave their influence into everything. A little bit of that seasoning goes a long way for the soup.
I like Rock Bottom. Again, I think the horns help a lot.
They do. I'm glad we saw that place.
And I do think it is nice that we're starting to bounce back a little bit. I think that's a bit of a breath of fresh air when I was running low on it.
Yeah. Good, a breath of fresh air. So what you're saying is rock bottom had you coming up for air?
Sure did.
Wow, bravo. Coming up for air, I don't know how you felt about this one. There's some of that vocal modulation, some digitally altered vocals in this one. And I know that doesn't always play for you.
It started out really intriguing with that techno-y beat.
Yeah, I like the synth bass on this one.
Yeah, and I found myself continuously intrigued all the way up to the first chorus, which I think was the intent, was to keep pulling you in for then that first big hit.
Yeah, running a bath and slipping down till I don't hear a sound. It's like you're You're just slowly being pulled towards the drain until you finally come up for air on that chorus. It really is like a breath of fresh air itself.
But I didn't like the "but I'm finally coming up for air" part. That part, it lost me.
I kind of like the whistly melody that goes behind it, but I understand.
I didn't get into it.
It's not the strongest of the album's hooks. It also feels like a very wordy song. It's not particularly long, but just the verses in general feel like they come at you really fast.
Mm-hmm.
I really kind of like the sequencing of this album and the fact that we get 2 songs pretty much about air back to back. The only 2 songs about air, and they happen right next to each other with Oxygen.
Well, kind of like 3. If the rock bottom you hit is at the bottom of the ocean, and then you're coming up for air to get some oxygen.
Oh, true. They do all good job. They make a little trilogy.
To be 100% honest with you, I've kind of been leaning into needing a breath of fresh air specifically for that reason.
Right. I feel like that was the intent behind putting the songs in this order. Oxygen's a much more low-key kind of song. It's kind of chill.
Yeah, I don't like it.
You don't like it? Why not?
I am annoyed by the hook. I thought you were Oxygen, but you were just the opposite, or however it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That's pretty lame. It's pretty lame. Couldn't come up with something better than that than just saying, oh, you're the opposite of Oxygen.
Yeah, I think it's tough. It's clear that she wanted to find a good parallel word to kind of counter Oxygen.
And she came up with opposite.
I know, and it doesn't work at all, and I agree with you, because I've always thought the same thing. Just from a lyrical standpoint, Oxygen doesn't have an opposite. I mean, carbon dioxide, maybe? But that's
like the closest thing.
That's got oxygen in it. Like, it doesn't really work on a scientific level, but, I mean, conceptually, I thought you were my oxygen, I thought you were the air I'm breathing, I thought you were something that was sustaining me and giving me life, but it turns out you're actually sucking the life away from me and smothering me. That works, but it does feel like a little bit of a stretch.
If she was a gladiator in my arena, thumbs down.
Thumbs down, oh no. Well, I don't like it lyrically as much, but musically, I think it works kind of great. I think Oxygen marks the start. Well, there's a couple songs on this later half that are a lot more scaled back in production, not as fleshed out and full sounding as most of the stuff we've heard to this point. With the exception of like 7 to 2 and some of the other, I don't know, more slow ballad type tracks. I feel like we get Oxygen and Running in Place and Superbloom. Like we get a couple more reserved arrangements that follow Oxygen. She said, learning to breathe again, but without the things I thought I needed that were really pulling me under, is what Oxygen is about. And she said it was another writing session so fun I blinked and it was over. And I believe that. It sounds like a song that'd be really easy and fun to write. So Oxygen's kind of a swing and kind of a miss, I guess. I like the vibes of it more than the lyrics.
I'll be honest, the second half, that's supposed to be better. Been a bit rough.
Well, I like Rock Bottom, and I don't know. I'd put Rock Bottom above probably half the stuff on the first half. Coming Up for Air, I'd put it in the middle of the pack of all the stuff from the first half, probably. Oxygen would be maybe above Coming Up for Air for me.
Yeah, I liked Rock Bottom, and the other two can both go to Rock Bottom.
Oh, ooh, dang. How did you feel about Running in Place? Probably one of the most intriguing arrangements on this album, I think. It's really just a piano. Like, most of the way, it's a piano and layered vocals. And I think it's a really cool sound. I think it stands out from the album because they create it like that. Running in Place, I think, also has one of the best hooks on the whole record, hands down. A little bit repetitive in, running my way, and I keep running in place. But it's so cool. It sounds great. And the harmonies are really fun.
It's another one that the first chord made me go, ooh, what we got here?
Yeah, they do a good job of intriguing you right from the jump on most of these songs. If, there's a song that I'm not remembering how it went or something, I can click play, hear the first chord, and be like, yes, I remember the entire flow of the song now. I think it's really interesting how much the song manages to build and dynamically, expand with nothing except the piano and the vocal. I think it's a really neat effect.
I did find this one to be fun. I don't think it's one I would want to listen to repeatedly.
No.
I think it would get old on me, but it was fun.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a one-trick pony.
Had an interesting rhythm that I don't want to be.
Yes. Of Running in Place, Mandy said, I tried running from myself, my deeply rooted traumas, and everything that snowballed afterwards, and it got me nowhere. hence, running in place. She said, sometimes we try running from our suffering because it's too difficult to deal with, but in turn it gets us nowhere. The more I ran, the bigger and faster it all felt, eventually catching up with me. This song brought such a piece of peace, that's P-I-E-C-E of P-E-A-C-E, when I needed it most. And it helped me with letting go of expectations and pressure that I put on myself and receive from others. So that's cool. Another very cathartic experience to create running in place. One of my favorite songs on the back half of the album is Decide to Be Happy. I think it's got a really cool, jazz-influenced pop style. A lot of, seventh chords in there. I really like it. And again, this is one, I hope you didn't have the Superbloom burnout, because Decide to Be Happy, it's got that cool syncopation and really unusual stress of its syllables.
It does have a fun syncopation.
Yeah, and I hope you weren't burnt out yet. I hope you made it all the way to Decide to Be Happy in good shape. It is track 15.
No, I'm doing okay. Like I said, I kind of was leaning into that a little bit for the coming up for air oxygen puns.
Okay, that's true. Fair enough. Well, Decide to Be Happy I really like. It's about, making the choice to find joy in everyday things. Even when happiness doesn't kind of come naturally, you got to make the choice. Decide to be happy. And that's exactly what she talked about. And again, as a COVID album and a COVID song, a lot of this was inspired by quarantine during the pandemic. She said, I've had to deal with this notion a lot since quarantine, when every day's hard to face and it's difficult to see light in such dark times. She said, through not being able to lean on our typical ways of living that provide comfort and ease and fulfillment, I've learned that happiness is not a destination. It is fleeting. It comes and goes as it pleases, rarely arriving organically. We must take action to seek it out. She said, if times are hard, I no longer want to wait for outside circumstances to change in order for me to feel happy. So that's what it is. It's all about taking control, recognizing some things are out of your control, and finding silver linings in those situations. Man, it's just a fun song. I really get into the groove on Decide to Be Happy.
It's groovy.
It really is. It's the kind of song that's going to make a playlist pick tricky. A lot of triplets that kind of play against the beat. It is also one of the more popular songs on this album, racking up 10 million streams, more than that, which puts it in the top 2. It's not in a particularly close second, but it is the second place. And again, we're still on that bounce back path. Right? We've started to breathe oxygen. We've started to realize that we've been running in place, and now we've chosen to be happy and are breaking out of it. And then Love Me True, if that's not the happiest, zingiest pop song, what is? Love Me True is like a party.
Love Me True is another one that felt a little soulless.
Really?
I didn't feel like...
Define soulless, because I guess it doesn't really have the weight lyrically, or the emotion of the other songs.
It just felt like it was just another generic pop song that didn't really fit with a lot of her other stuff on this album in terms of oomph.
Yeah, I guess it's a little lighter. That's true. And this one was a bit of a stretch for them, I think. A little bit of a pop in the bubble, going out of the comfort zone. She said, we definitely explored new sounds on this album. And she said with Love Me True, we wanted to take it back to our roots of horns and a funk feel that's impossible not to dance to. So it's definitely got a funk to it. And the horns, I'm kind of surprised that you're calling it a lightweight with such a strong brass instrument presence.
Yeah. The brass wasn't enough to save it.
Wow, that must be really low then. Well, up next is track 17, 3 Small Words. And I kind of got to be honest, I think Ozzy Osbourne set the record for the smallest 3 words ever in a song. Am I wrong? He did Crazy Train. I. That's about as small as the words get.
It's true. I's a pretty long letter.
I guess. A lowercase I is pretty short, though.
Oh, it's got that little dot that's super tiny.
Yeah. Luckily, MisterWives does not go the Ozzy Osbourne direction of 3 small words. I. They take a different route. This song feels, I guess, kind of like 3 Small Words is a song that, to me, sounds like the album cover looks. I think it's a very emblematic song of that imagery. It feels vast. They use some delay on the synth to kind of give a lot of space in there. The melody is really mostly on the lower end until the chorus. I think the chorus hook is okay. I think it gets a little old by the end of the song. I like that hook. Lyrically, I like the idea. 3 small words are so big when they're for you. That's fun. But it just happens over and over and over.
Yeah.
3 small words, but 3 big choruses.
It does fall into that repetitive cycle a little. But I don't think it would have bothered me as much if I wasn't 17 tracks deep.
Yeah, right. If this was one of 8, 9, 10, 12. But it's 17 of 19. Definitely, I don't know. We'll talk about it in Final Spin. I definitely think you're onto something with that.
Because it did have a funky beat. It had that oomph that Love Me True was missing. I like that ooh.
Yeah.
And the instruments are real funky.
They are funkier than you even know.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mandy said, I originally made a voice memo of the melody of this song, playing the beat with the spatula left on the counter. So she recorded it, just the original concept by herself with her voice and a spatula. And when they went into the studio to do the song for real, she said, Etienne and I recreated the beat with, yes, a spatula when recording this one. So you're hearing them smack a spatula around in the background of this song.
Oh, really?
There's your funky instrumental.
Making that soup.
I don't know. You wouldn't really make soup with a spatula, but...
Sure you could. You could stir it with a spatula.
Yeah, you could. It's not a very efficient way to serve soup, I guess.
I didn't say serving soup. I said making soup.
Yeah, still, though, I don't think that's the optimal cooking implement.
Sounds like you don't know how to make soup.
I guess not like MisterWives, I don't. I like some of the imagery in Three Small Words. Your watch broke, and I hope that it stopped time. I'm going slow. Can I dive back into waters that I barely survived? Like the anxiety of getting into a new relationship after the other one ended so hard. There's hesitancy there. But there's obviously some hope there, too. It's intimidating to say those three small words to somebody for the first time. And they feel big when they're for you because this relationship is important to me and I want to make sure that I do it right because the last time things got out of hand and it went wrong. And I don't want that to happen for you. It's a really cool idea. I like it. I think it's a unique song. I gotta say, though, I think one of the more kind of, dare I say, annoying kind of songs on this album.
Whoa.
I don't really want to say annoying. I guess I just want to say...
You heard it here first, folks. James thinks MisterWives is annoying.
No, I'm talking specifically about Muse, the next track, and I'm talking specifically...
Hey, editor, replay the soundbite.
I'm editing the episode also, and I'm not going to do that. But you know what I said, and you know what I meant, so there.
There, you just heard it. He said annoying. He thinks they're annoying.
I'm talking...
Editor, just play the word annoying when James said it. Go ahead.
No.
Play it again.
No.
Play it again.
I'm not going to play it.
There you go.
Okay, enough of you. I'm talking specifically about Muse, and I'm talking specifically about the hook. Let me be your muse. I think that happens too many times, and it's just a little too intense, I think. Too high and loud and yelly. I don't know.
Whoa!
The rest of the song I really like. I mean, it's fun. It's fast. It's a cool concept. And I think Muse always pays off in a good way. It's just the let me be your that just doesn't get it done for me. I don't know. But as much as maybe to my ears I don't love it, Mandy does say that Muse is the most fun to sing, stacked with colorful harmonies and playful rhythmic lyrics. It's inviting a new love and lightness back to my life, and it feeling brighter than ever. She said feeling incredibly jaded. Remember jaded? I know what that means now. It means you've seen too much of it, and now that you're tired of it, you're bored of it, you're jaded. Miley Cyrus taught me that.
That's right.
But she said, feeling incredibly jaded by my experience, I'm proud I didn't resort to building up even taller walls than before, to not allow myself to experience the joy I deserve. Remember, see, that's a far cry from what she said on some of these earlier songs about not deserving someone who is going to put her in the relationship over the band and the music and the job. She's now come to the point where she recognizes that she deserves joy. She said, I wouldn't have been able to welcome this new chapter into my life if I didn't learn to love myself first. And so that's what Muse is all about. It's nice. Do you have a Muse?
I do.
Oh, that's fun.
It's the Mixtaper.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised. Last but not least, after about an hour, we finally make it to track 19.
Title track!
And we finally make it to a title track. Superbloom.
It's got titles. It's got trumpets. It's got other things that start with T.
Yes, it does. I really love, oh man, we're back to the jazzy kind of, almost like New Orleans vibes on Superbloom with the trumpet and the piano the way it is. There's also, some symbolism here. You probably haven't noticed because it's an audio podcast where we're just saying the titles of songs out loud, but to this point, all the titles have been in lowercase.
You can tell by the way I said them.
Which is a really interesting visual choice, but also makes autocorrect really mad at me when I typed these all out. They kept wanting to capitalize them, and I said, no, it's important that they're all lowercase. Because when we get to Superbloom, it's all caps. It visually represents Superbloom. The rest of the stuff has been the desert. It's been what's lacking and what we're working on cultivating in life. And then Superbloom, everything finally comes to the forefront, to the surface, and it bursts out in this super bloom of flowers and life that's like not containable. And so Superbloom kind of yells it at us in all caps at the end, and I really like that for the album title. I really like that stylistic choice. It's really neat. It is definitely the most popular track on the album.
By far.
Yeah, by far. 12 times as many plays as the second most streamed track. So it really gets there. Mandy said, "We made it." She actually, it kind of acknowledged the length of the album too. She said, "If you stuck with me this long, you deserve congratulations," right from the song. And she said, "You deserve my gratitude for caring and hopefully connecting to this album." She said, "The title track came from me visiting the poppy fields," right? Remember the poppy fields in The Wizard of Oz and on the album cover?
Yeah, and the Wicked Witch of the East that got her own song, but you forgot about it?
Well, she had a song about being dead. Yeah.
Hey, it was her song, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I wonder what they sang about the Wicked Witch of the West dying.
Didn't they also sing?
They just repurposed it?
Didn't they? I feel like they did.
Well, see, so then it's not about the Wicked Witch of the East. It's just a song about wicked witches.
It was a cover.
Right. Got it. They had to pay for the rights.
Yeah, but not the performance rights, just the
Ooh.
whatever the other one is.
Do you know the other type?
The
mechanical.
Mechanical. That's what I was gonna say.
But you're wrong. They would have had to pay for the performance rights and not the mechanical.
What? Why?
Because performance is for public performances of songs. Mechanical is for the master of a song and like the actual recording. We're really getting into the munchkin minutia here. Anyway, but what she said was she went to the poppy fields. That's right. That's what we were in the middle of. I visited the poppy fields a couple years back, and being so moved by the resilient yet fragile and vibrant poppies that punched through the desert terrain despite their challenges and grew in unexpected places. I offer up this record to anyone in need of the reminder that you too can come out on the other side and Superbloom. There you have it. That's the bounce back half of the album. I really enjoy Superbloom a lot. I think it's a fun song. I think it rightfully deserves its placement as the most popular. Great way to end this record.
Yeah.
I especially like the bounce back half of the record. I think it's got a lot more upbeat, happy, optimistic, forward-focused songs that really like seek joy, like decide to be happy. I think it leaves you feeling really uplifted by the end of the record. I mean, we started out in this kind of doom and gloom of ghost, I see this relationship fading, and why did it end, and I'm alone now, and I'm telling myself stories to make myself feel better, and we broke up on Valentine's Day, and, it's my turn to go crazy and ruin my life, and I'm trying to find my way home, and I've got the worst hand that I've ever been dealt, and I hit rock bottom, and then, that's all, good. It's all well executed, but that's like a downer. Not, you know what I mean? That's like the storm cloud part of the album. And then we get the bounce back up part. And I leave this album breathing oxygen and running in place and choosing to be happy and really pursuing the best. And I think that's a great way for it to end. We're kind of edging into final spin territory, but
yeah, that was kind of final spin.
Yeah. Are you ready to move on?
No.
Oh, well, too bad. We're doing it anyway. I think Superbloom's biggest point of contention for me is its length. Because on one hand, it's a little long, and the songs are short enough, you can really kind of fly through it a little bit, but it's an hour and more of MisterWives in their soup. And it's good soup. It really is. They've got a lot of spice and a lot of tricks and a lot of ways to weave in new elements to their music. But it's long, and I think maybe sometimes it can tend to feel a little bloated. But the flip side of that exact same point is I'm so impressed that an album this long can have this much staying power in my mind. I think so many of these tracks, or at least their hooks, get stuck in my head. And it doesn't feel super burdensome to listen to this album. I think there aren't a lot of particularly weak points. If it's a chain, it's an equally strong chain. There's not a lot of weak links in the chain. Whether it's a chain you like, or whether it's strong enough for what you're trying to do, that depends. But I think it's consistently good for its duration. So even though it's long, I'm very impressed by it. Because it's ambitious. And I think it succeeds pretty well. I think my scores might be a little inflated this week, a little high. I don't know if that's because it ends on such a happy note or what, but we'll see. For the music, I'm giving it a 90. I think it's upbeat in a lot of places, and it's not afraid to slow down into a ballad where it needs to be. It's kind of incongruous for half of a breakup album, but everyone's done a breakup album. It takes a special kind of nuance to do a breakup album that sounds like this. So I'm giving music a 90. 86 for lyrics. I like the storytelling she's doing as a whole. over the span of the whole album, like from a big picture standpoint. I think the minutiae get a little bit worn out. I mean, like you said, Oxygen and Opposite, and there's a few other places where if you take a magnifying glass to it, put it under a microscope, it's not gonna blow you away consistently. But the overarching narrative is really cool. 86 for lyrics. Instruments and production, 91. I think there are some real standout moments on this album. Running in Place comes to mind. Why comes to mind. Find My Way Home comes to mind. Really, just a lot of variables here that all kind of gel together, and they spice it up a lot. 91 for instruments and production, and a 93 for the overall vibe, which maybe is a score that's too high, but I don't know. I just have no trouble listening to this one at all. This is an album that you can piecemeal out, I think. Put any of these songs on any playlist, and they're going to hit pretty much as well as they do in the context of the album. So that's nice. For an album that's 19 tracks, you don't have to listen to all 19 at once to get a song's desired effect. They're kind of self-contained. So, overall score for Superbloom is a 90.5, ranks at number 82. Again, maybe a little inflated, but that puts it just below Willie Nelson, The Red-Headed Stranger, and just above where I ranked the Gershwins on Groundhog Day. Sorry, Gopher Day.
Gopher Day. Thank you very much.
Rhapsody in Bloom. Get it? Superbloom. Anyway, so that's me. What's your score for this lengthy, soupy roller coaster?
I also enjoyed this soup. Big fan of soup.
Of course.
But I don't want to eat soup 19 meals in a row.
Yeah, length has always been my main concern for this one and you.
I also felt there weren't any, at least for me, and you're going to hate that I say this.
I'm bracing myself for the worst.
There wasn't any high highs.
Well, I don't hate that. That's kind of what I said. Like, it's equally yoked throughout. No weak links in the chain, but the chain is the same.
No, you see, that's where we're going to disagree, because there weren't any high highs, but there was 2 low lows.
Oh, boy. Well, 2 out of 19 is not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good percentage.
But I'm just saying, when you don't have any high highs to balance those out, those low lows, averages are sensitive to extremes.
Yeah, but you got to cut out the outliers to get a good average.
Unfortunately, every track gets equal weight.
Well, what are your 2 stinkers?
The 2 that I said were misses for me.
Okay.
This one, I'm just going to come out and say it. This one's getting 6 soupy elephants out of 10.
A soupy elephant never forgets.
Because I'm just going to be left with some soupy memories.
Memories of soup. Wow. Well, I'll be honest. I think a 6 is maybe a little higher than I was expecting based on just your comments over the last couple minutes. It sounded like the half that I liked, it kind of fell off for you a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't care for the second half. I actually think I liked the first half better.
Why?
I liked that grungier sadness to those earlier tracks.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put it right above the nice.
Nice. You finally found something else you like less than the Beach Boys. I'll take that.
And my playlist pick, I think, is probably gonna be whywhywhy, which I guess I should tell you my top 3, and that would make more sense.
Yeah.
My top 3 in album order: whywhywhy, Find My Way Home, Rock Bottom.
Interesting. You didn't seem very thrilled about it when we talked about it today.
No, I specifically said it was a breath of fresh air in the middle of the album to get some positive.
Oh, well, I thought you were leaning into Coming Up for Air.
Yeah, I mean...
Okay. I'm getting mixed signals from you.
And then Superbloom, because how can you not?
Superbloom. You gotta. Yeah, that's fair.
But Superbloom, the title track, gets the honorable mention.
Reasonable. Yeah.
No, I changed my mind. I think I'm going with Find My Way Home. I don't know. It's either Find My Way Home or whywhywhy for my playlist pick. I like them for different reasons.
Yeah, they're pretty different songs.
I'll go Find My Way Home.
Oh, okay. That's the opposite of what I was hoping you were going to pick, but sure. I don't even know what to pick for the playlist. It's such a hard choice.
Well, you could take whywhywhy.
Yeah, I could take it. I'm between whywhywhy, Rock Bottom, Running in Place, Decide to Be Happy, and Superbloom. I've narrowed it down to 5 of 19. Well, really 18. You already got one. Superbloom's great, but I mean, it's so much of the favorite from this album, apparently. I'm kind of tempted to stay away from it. It's just got so many plays.
Sure.
Okay, I've narrowed it down further in my mind. to whywhywhy and running in place. Which one goes better with Find My Way Home, I guess? I might go Running in Place. I think the contrast in production styles between Find My Way Home and Running in Place is really cool. Running in Place is slower. It's just her and it's the piano, whereas Find My Way Home gets the bass and the drums and the horns and the big production. So I think they kind of play off each other pretty well. A hard decision, but a good one. Well, I believe that does it for this Superbloom episode. Hope you liked the episode. Hope you liked the album, at least more than Connor did. If you're looking for more Spin It, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to follow, subscribe, whatever that's called on whatever platform you're listening on. Like, rate, 5 stars, whatever you do. Leave a comment. You could do that now on Spotify, everything. Fun stuff, super fun. We love to hear from you. You can also follow us on social media at SpinItPodOfficial on Instagram and at SpinItPod on X and a few other places. You can find us at www.spinitpod.com. You can suggest an album for us. You can help the Mixtaper with spins like this week where I just got decimated by audience suggestions. You'll love to see it. I kind of hate to see it, but generally, you'll love to see it. And stay tuned next week to hear Connor say something like this.
Feeling pretty deep.
Wasn't that silly?
Pretty silly. Can't believe I said that.
I can't believe you did either. I don't know where you think of these things. And it's even more impressive that you do manage to say stuff like that in the next episode. Pretty seamlessly. Tell your favorite mister or tell your favorite wife about the podcast. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe we'll see them here next week and we'll see you here next week as well. And until we do, keep spinning. Ever since I said it, I've been thinking about a super bloomin' onion. What would that even look like? Like, the bloomin' onion is already an impressive feat of culinary prowess, right? That's like one onion that they've...
I'm thinking Superbloom onion.
Oh, like a French onion soup.
I'm thinking a French onion soup,
but with
a giant bloomin' onion on top floating in it. Like a giant, think like, you know, the giant punch bowls that you see in at high school dances in pop culture movies. Like one of those giant things, but filled with soup.
Like just a punch bowl.
Sure. But filled with French onion soup and a giant bloomin' onion on top of it that you can like pick the petals off and dip in the soup.
Like it's floating?
Yeah!
Would that be good though? I mean, they're fried and...
I think it would be good. Fried onion with French onion soup?
Super bloomin' onion.
I think we're onto something.
I think we could make that maybe and try it. We could, in theory, make a French onion Superbloom.
I think we do that next time we're together.
I'm afraid to deep fry a bloomin' onion. I don't even have the means to like start doing that. But if we can set it up, I'll participate and I'll try it. Stay tuned to see if that ever comes to fruition.
Maybe we buy a bloomin' onion, but get our own soup and put in it.
Oh, that's way smarter. We just get a lot of French onions. Okay, yeah, you know what? This is why it takes two to make this podcast. Maybe we start with trying, and then when we decide it's just not going to work, we just go get one.
Yeah, that's our backup plan.
Our out backup plan.
Oh!